in the heart of the ancient city of Argos, where marble columns stood tall and the scent of laurel lingered in the air. King Acroseus presided over a realm steeped in both wisdom and ambition. His kingdom flourished beneath the radiant gaze of the golden sun, and the echoes of prosperity resonated through the jubilant voices of his people. Yet, concealed beneath this facade of grandeur, a somber shadow cast its foreboding silhouette and ominous prophecy that would soon etch its indelible mark upon the destiny of the kingdom. King Acroseus of Argos had only one child, a daughter Danae. Her beauty was heralded across the entire kingdom, passed on by all who set eyes on her. But King Acroseus desperately wanted a son, and so journeyed to the oracle of Delphi to ask the god if there was any hope that he would father a boy. And so, as the morning sun tenderly bathed the city in its warm embrace, Acroseus, regally adorned in attire befitting his station, ascended the sacred steps leading to the venerable sanctuary. There, cloaked in an ethereal veil, he awaited the oracle, perched upon a stone pedestal. The oracle met the king's gaze with an intensity that transcended mortal comprehension. Her voice, a mellifluous fusion of prophecy and fate, reverberated through the hallowed chamber. "King Acroseus," she intoned, "the gods have woven the fabric of your destiny. Listen well, for the threads of fate shall intertwine with your bloodline." A chill descended upon Acroseus's spine as the oracle unfurled the cosmic scroll that foretold his fate. The prophecy, lingering in the air, spoke of a future fraught with peril, a destiny in which the very blood coursing through Acroseus's veins would become the harbinger of his ultimate downfall. And deterred by the oppressive hands of fate, Acroseus, resolute and defiant, sought counsel. "How can I avert this destiny, great oracle? Tell me, and I shall spare no effort to change the course of my fate." The seeress, veiled in an aura of profound mystery, unraveled the essence of the prophecy. "A son, born of your own blood, shall rise to challenge your reign and kill you. Beware, Acroseus, for the threads of destiny are woven by hands divine." Acroseus, wounded pride and a gnawing fear within his heart, conceived a plan to defy the celestial tapestry of fate. His daughter, Danae, a vision radiant as the dawn, unwittingly became the pawn in his perilous gambit for supremacy. And so, Acroseus built a tower of stone, reaching towards the heavens against the backdrop of Argos, and transformed it into Danae's prison, a fortress of solitude intended to shield her from the tender embrace of love and the inevitable touch of destiny itself. In the cold embrace of the tower, Danae, a captive in her own home, wept for the life she had been denied. The kingdom rejoiced in its prosperity, oblivious to the drama unfolding within the stone walls that confined the princess. Her pleas for freedom echoed through the cold corridors, reaching the heavens themselves. Yet, even as Danae languished in her captivity, the gods, amused by the struggles of mortals, weaved their own designs. Zeus, the mighty king of the gods, observed the unfolding tragedy and, intrigued by the plight of Danae, decided to intervene in the mortal affairs below. Zeus, known for his amorous exploits, descended from Mount Olympus in a shower of gold rain. Taking on a guise that befitted the mortal world, he entered the tower where Danae resided. With words as gentle as the evening breeze, Zeus spoke to Danae, soothing the ache in her heart. He revealed himself as a god, the ruler of the heavens, and promised that her suffering would not go unanswered. In that moment, the bond between mortal and immortal was forged, and Danae, touched by the divine, felt a spark of hope flicker within. As time flowed onward, Danae discovered that she was with child, a child conceived by the divine touch of Zeus. The revelation of Danae's divine pregnancy did not escape the notice of Acroseus. Consumed by a mixture of anger and fear, he devised a plan to rid himself of the perceived threat to his reign. In secrecy, he arranged for Danae and her unborn child to be cast adrift in a wooden chest upon the tumultuous sea. Within its confines, Danae, the daughter of King Acroseus, cradled her newborn son, Perseus. Yet, the gods, ever watchful, wove their threads through fate, Poseidon, master of the sea, stilled the raging waters, granting the chest safe passage and amphitrite. His queen whispered to the waves, guiding the vessel toward the obscure island of Seriphos. On the quiet shores, Dictys, a humble fisherman, discovered the chest, and as he pried it open, a vision unfolded: Danae, disheveled and weary, cradling the infant Perseus. The gods, it seemed, had granted them a sanctuary on this unassuming isle. Dictys, with a generous heart, took the stranded pair into his home. As the days unfolded, Dictys became a guardian to Danae and a protector to Perseus. The boy, unaware of his tumultuous origins, grew under the gentle care of the fishermen and the watchful gaze of the gods. Yet, even in the tranquility of Seriphos, fate began to weave its intricate design. Polydectes, the cunning king of the island, caught wind of Danae's beauty and desired her as his own. However, Perseus stood as an obstacle to his ambitions. In a dimly lit chamber, Polydectes conceived a plan as cunning as a serpent's strike. Seated upon his throne, the king summoned Perseus before the court, unveiling an impossible quest draped in the guise of honor. Perseus, Polydectes declared with a honeyed voice that masked his treacherous intent, I present you with a task befitting your stature. Retrieve the head of Medusa, the Gorgon whose gaze turns men to stone. Seriphos shall be forever indebted to your bravery. Polydectes, with a smile that concealed the venom beneath, watched as the young hero accepted the challenge, unknowingly stepping onto a path fraught with insurmountable challenges and looming danger. Perseus took a ship as soon as he left the king's hall, not daring to see his mother and tell her what he intended. As dawn painted the heavens with hues of pink and gold, Perseus set forth from the shores of Seriphos, and he sailed to Greece to learn where Medusa could be found. In the heart of the mythic realm, where the gods toyed with the fates of mortals, Perseus, driven by a promise, sought the guidance of the divine. The heavens responded to his call, and Athena and Hermes, sympathetic to his plight, descended from their celestial abode to grace the mortal hero with their favor. Athena, the wise and strategic goddess, manifested before Perseus. In her outstretched hand, she bore a shield, meticulously crafted from polished bronze. Perseus, Athena's voice echoed with the weight of prophecy. Take this shield. Let it be your bastion against the petrifying gaze of the creature you seek. Look into this when you attack the Gorgon, she said. You will be able to see her in it as in a mirror, and so avoid her deadly power. Perseus, standing in awe before the goddess, accepted the divine gift with a nod of gratitude. Hermes, the fleet-footed messenger of the gods, joined the cosmic rendezvous. His arrival was heralded by the whispering winds, carrying the scent of distant lands. In the scabbard at his side, a sword glittered with an otherworldly glow. Perseus, Hermes spoke with a tone that danced between mirth and solemnity. This sword is a gift to aid you in your quest. Its edge is sharp as fate itself, and strong enough to cut through the Gorgon's scales. Wield it against the Gorgon, and may its swiftness be your ally. Perseus, now armed with the divine sword and the mirrored shield, felt a surge of confidence coursing through his veins as Perseus thanked the gods for the gifts. Hermes grabbed Perseus by the arm and stared deep into his eyes. With a somber tone he announced, before you attack the famed Medusa, you must first find the location of the cave where they dwell. And this knowledge is held only by the nymphs in the north. To find the nymphs' abode, however, only the ancient Graeae sisters know the way. These women dwell in a land where all sun is dim and shrouded in twilight. In order to find them, you must head to north until the land meets the sea, and continue until all light fades from the world. Now go, you have little time to spare. With divine gifts bestowed upon him, Perseus embarked on his perilous journey. Guided by Hermes, his path eventually led him to the Graeae, 3 ancient sisters who shared a single eye and a single tooth, keepers of the threads of destiny. Perseus, demonstrating a cunning wit, approached the sisters with respect and trepidation. In a daring move, He seized their single eye and tooth, holding them hostage for the information he sought. Sisters. Perseus' voice resonated with determination. Reveal to me the whereabouts of the nymphs, the keepers of Gorgon lore. The Graeae, bereft of their senses, yielded to the mortal's cunning. The stolen eye and tooth compelled them to unveil the nymph's abode. Guided by the revelations of the Graeae, Perseus ventured further into the mystical unknown. The nymphs, ethereal beings with an intimate connection to the natural world, greeted him. Recognizing the hero's purpose, they shared their ancient wisdom and presented him with winged sandals, crafted with feathers that shimmered like stardust. Perseus. The nymphs spoke in a chorus of voices that echoed through the sacred grove. Take these sandals. They shall carry you on the wings of the wind, to the lair of the Gorgons, hidden on the distant island of the Hesperides. Embraced by the divine wind, Perseus donned the winged sandals, their enchantment lifting him above the earthly realm. The journey to the lair of the Gorgons, concealed on the faraway island of the Hesperides, had been revealed to him. The Gorgons, monstrous entities with snakes for hair, awaited Perseus in their secluded sanctuary. Medusa, the most fearsome among them, posed a threat that echoed through the ages. As he sailed towards the Hesperides, the wind whispering tales of ancient deeds, Perseus embraced the divine aid bestowed upon him. Perseus, a mortal now empowered by celestial gifts, faced the looming challenge that awaited him on the island of the Hesperides. The island lay shrouded in a haze, an ethereal mist that concealed the lair of the Gorgons within its craggy cliffs. Perseus, the determined hero, pressed forward through the haunting atmosphere. Perseus treaded cautiously, the cavern's mouth yawned open like some ancient beast. And Perseus, resolute and unyielding, stepped into the unknown. Medusa, the dreaded Gorgon, resided in the heart of the labyrinthine cave. Her serpentine hair hissed with lethal intent, and her eyes, the windows to petrification, were fixated on an imagined prey. The tension in the cave reached its height as Perseus confronted the monstrous figure, utilizing the mirrored shield with strategic prowess. Perseus deftly avoided Medusa's petrifying gaze. The divine sword, an extension of his determination, struck with lethal precision. The battle was a dance of strategy and skill, a clash between mortal and monster in the heart of the Gorgon's domain. Perseus's focus was unwavering as he circled the Gorgon, anticipating every move. The mirrored shield, a barrier against her deadly gaze, reflected the grotesque beauty of Medusa. The divine sword, an extension of his determination, found its mark with each calculated strike. It was a battle of attrition, a test of Perseus's mettle against a monster born of ancient nightmares. With a final, decisive blow, Perseus severed Medusa's head from her serpentine shoulders. Triumphant, Perseus held her head aloft. The aftermath of battle birthed a surreal transformation. Medusa's blood spilled onto the cavern floor, and from it was birthed Pegasus, the winged horse, and Chrysaor, the golden giant. As Perseus emerged from the Gorgon's lair, the island's eerie silence seemed to acknowledge the transformative events within its depths. The hero, armed with the divine gifts and accompanied by mythical companions, faced the next chapter of his odyssey, the lair of the Gorgons. Now as silent witness to the clash of mortal and monster, faded into the background as Perseus embarked on the continuing tapestry of his mythic quest. On his way back towards home, Perseus came to Ethiopia. In the kingdom of Ethiopia, a foreboding sea monster terrorized the land, casting a dark shadow over the once thriving realm. Desperation loomed as the Oracle of Delphi declared that sacrificing the kingdom's princess, Andromeda, was the only solution to appease the gods and end the monstrous threat. Perseus, a stranger in a land gripped by fear, arrived at Ethiopia and, to his surprise, fell deeply in love with the captive princess. His heart stirred with newfound emotions as he vowed to rescue her from the impending sacrificial fate. Perseus, armed with gifts from the divine, a polished bronze shield from Athena, and a swift sword from Hermes, strode purposefully into the battlefield. Desperation hung thick in the air, a suffocating cloak born of the looming terror that prowled beneath the waves. Preparing for battle, Perseus went to the rocky ledge by the sea where Andromeda was chained to the cliff, and waited beside her until the snake came for its prey and then cut the monster's head off. As it rose to strike Andromeda, Perseus emerged battered but triumphant. With the swiftness of a god-touched warrior, he delivered the decisive blow, severing the sea monster's head from its colossal form, and the headless serpent dropped back into the water. The collective gasp of the onlookers transformed into jubilant cries as Andromeda, freed from her chains, stood amidst the chaotic aftermath, a beacon of salvation. As the kingdom rejoiced, the decision was made to honor Perseus and Andromeda's love through marriage. With Andromeda beside him, Perseus sailed back to the island of Seriphos. But the journey back to Seriphos was not merely a return. It was a reckoning. Perseus, having completed his Herculean tasks, discovered a kingdom marred by the tyranny of Polydex. Yet, even more distressing was the revelation that his mother, Danae, had sought refuge within the sanctuary of Athena to escape the wrath of the usurping king after she refused to marry him. The journey through the familiar landscapes of Seriphos bore witness to the kingdom's transformation under Polydec's oppressive rule. The once serene island now echoed with the clamor of despair, and Perseus hastened towards the temple of Athena, guided by rumors of his mother's precarious situation. As Perseus approached the temple, the air thickened with an impending reckoning. Danae emerged from the shadows, her eyes a mixture of fear and hope. Perseus acknowledged her, his gaze unwavering. Perseus, Danae's voice, a tremor of hope amidst the turmoil, reached him as he stepped into the temple's hallowed halls. "Mother," he replied, his tone a blend of determination and reassurance. "The time of reckoning is upon us." The reunion between mother and son enfolded within the hallowed walls of Athena's sanctuary. Danae, worn by the weight of her trials, found solace in the protective embrace of her son. Perseus, fueled by a newfound sense of purpose, vowed to confront the source of their suffering, Polydex. Word spread like wildfire through the island. Polydex was hosting a grand banquet. Perseus, fueled by righteous anger and an unyielding desire for justice, embarked on the journey to confront the tyrant. The banquet hall, a lavish display of decadence, hosted the epitome of corruption. Polydex reveled in his ill-gotten power, oblivious to the impending reckoning. Perseus, standing at the threshold, confronted the tyrant. The confrontation, when it came, was a clash of worlds' divine wrath against mortal decadence. Polydex, in his arrogance, bellowed, "Perseus, you dare interrupt my feast?" The hero's reply was swift and resolute, "Your feast ends now, Polydex." And with that, Perseus drew the head of Medusa from a satchel clasped over his shoulder. The revelation of Medusa's head, held high by Perseus, silenced the hall. Gasps turned to petrified silence as the Gorgon's gaze wrought havoc on the revelers. Polydex, frozen in the throes of arrogance, became a statue of his own making in the wake of the banquet's aftermath. Perseus stood amidst the silent statues, a silent victor. After some time, Perseus, Andromeda, and Danae returned to the city of Argos with hopes of reconciliation, driven by the passage of time and the belief that Acroseus, Perseus's grandfather, might have softened over the years of separation. As they approached Argos, Perseus couldn't shake the feeling of trepidation. The fragility of family ties was palpable, and the hope for a renewed connection was overshadowed by the weight of past misunderstandings. Perseus, having matured through his trials and adventures, yearned for a chance to mend the strained relationship with Acroseus. However, Acroseus, upon hearing of Perseus's return, was gripped by fear. The prophecy, foretelling that Acroseus would meet his end at the hands of his own grandson, haunted him. The oracle's words had driven Acroseus to cast Perseus and Danae into the sea. Now, with news of Perseus's return, fear compelled Acroseus to flee the city, avoiding a confrontation with his grandson and the ominous prophecy that lingered over them. Perseus, disappointed, remained in Argos until news of an athletic competition held by the king of Larissa reached him. and with a thirst for distraction and a desire to prove himself, Perseus decided to participate in discus throwing. The hero's entry into the discus throwing competition, seemingly innocent, set the stage for a tragic turn of events. Larissa, with its bustling streets and the clamor of anticipation, was the arena where the gods reveled in puppetry, shaping destinies with a capricious hand. The discus, a symbol of power and strength, became the unwitting instrument of tragedy. Perseus, driven by the urge to prove his mettle, hurled the heavy missile into the field. Yet, destiny, that ever-elusive force, had other plans. The discus veered off course. The gasp of the crowd echoed through the amphitheater as the discus, meant for the field, struck the unsuspecting spectators. In the midst of the spectators stood Acrisius, the fleeing patriarch, who had come to Larissa to visit the king, and knowingly had become the nexus of his own fate. Acrisius, struck by the heavy missile, fell to the ground, a fatal blow that silenced the once boisterous amphitheater. Acrisius, in an ironic and tragic twist, fell victim to the very prophecy he had sought to escape. Perseus, burdened by the weight of unintended consequences and the fulfillment of the oracle's prophecy, stood amidst the chaos.